Here's something most men never think about. Take any polo in your closet right now, remove the logo, and hand it to someone who knows fabric. They will tell you exactly what it is worth in about 10 seconds. Not what you paid for it. What it is actually worth. The price you paid and the construction you got are almost never the same number. Today we close that gap. 5 brands publishing the truth about what a polo should cost. Let us get into it. Before we get to the brands, there are 3 things that will change how you look at every polo you ever buy. Once you know these 3 things, you will never look at a polo the same way again, and you will never pay for a logo the same way again either. The first thing is fabric weight. The technical term is GSM, grams per square meter. Think of it as the density of the fabric. The heavier the GSM, the more material is in the weave and the longer the polo is going to last. A lightweight polo around 140 to 160 grams per square meter is a summer shirt. It drapes nicely in July, but it starts looking thin and tired within 2 seasons of regular wear. A midweight polo around 180 to 220 grams per square meter is what you want for year-round wear. It holds its shape, it lasts 5 or more years with proper care, and it looks the same after 50 washes as it did on day 1. A heavyweight polo above 240 grams per square meter is vintage rugby cloth territory. Dense, structured, built to last decades. You rarely see it in modern polo production because it costs significantly more to make and most brands are not interested in spending that money. Here's what that actually means in practice. Most designer polos at $150 sit at 180 to 200 grams per square meter. The same weight as the Goldmines polos on this list at $55. The logo adds $100 to the price. The fabric weight does not move. The second thing is cotton fiber grade. There are 3 grades you will encounter across the brands on this list. Pima and Supima cotton is the American premium tier. Extra long staple fibers that feel smooth, hold color beautifully, and stay soft through hundreds of washes. Mercerized cotton is cotton that has been chemically treated to add sheen, strength, and depth of color. It is the finish you find on expensive Italian and English heritage polos. Standard cotton is the shortest fiber grade. It pills faster, it fades faster, and it is hiding on the spec sheets of more designer polos than most men realize. If a brand does not publish its cotton grade on the product page, that is not an accident. We put the complete cotton grade breakdown in the description below, so you can reference it anytime. The brands hiding the fiber grade on their product pages are almost always hiding shorter staple cotton sold at premium prices. That omission is a deliberate marketing decision. The third thing is collar construction. This is the one that separates a polo you wear for a decade from one that looks off after 3 washes. A standard single-layer rib collar is knitted separately and sewn onto the body of the polo. Within 2 seasons, it starts to curl. It loses its shape. Even on a well-fitted polo, a curling collar makes the whole shirt look cheap and tired. A double-layer self-fabric collar is built differently. 2 layers of the same polo fabric with a collar band stitched between them, built the same way a woven dress shirt collar is built. It does not curl, it sits flat. It holds its structure across hundreds of washes because it is engineered to hold rather than knitted to approximate. Try it right now on any polo you own. Pinch the collar between your thumb and finger. 1 thin, stiff layer means it will curl on you. 2 distinct layers with something solid between them means that collar is going nowhere. Now you have all 3 tools. Here are the brands that earn them. The first brand is a Canadian direct-to-consumer shirt maker that built its name on suits and dress shirts and then brought that same construction philosophy straight into the polo category. That brand is Spier and Mackay. What separates Spier and Mackay from most brands at this price point is simple. They publish the construction specifications on the product page, not the colors, not the lifestyle imagery, the actual numbers, the fabric weight, the yarn construction, the button material. You can verify everything before you spend $1. The upper polo line runs 100% cotton peak at 210 grams per square meter. That is solidly midweight and year-round wearable. The same GSM as designer polos that charge 3 times the price. The yarn is 2-ply, which means each thread in the knit is twisted from 2 strands rather than 1, Two-ply construction is more durable, it has a better hand feel, and it holds color better through repeated washing than single-ply cotton at this price range. The buttons on select models are mother of pearl. Real shell, not plastic. When you hold a mother of pearl button next to a plastic button, the difference is visible immediately. The surface depth, the way it catches light, the warmth of the material. Plastic is flat, shell has dimension. The collar options run across 3 different constructions at the same price. A curl-resistant rib for the traditional polo silhouette. A shirt-style collar with sewn-in stays if you want to wear the polo under a sport coat without the collar collapsing. And a button-down option for the Ivy League look. 3 different collar solutions at one price point. And that kind of optionality at $55 is genuinely rare. Buy 2 at a time and the 20% discount brings each polo down to $44. That is the effective price for the buyer who plans ahead. 210 grams per square meter, 2-ply yarn, mother of pearl buttons, 3 collar options, $44 a piece. The man who found Spier and Mackay stopped paying the department store price the day he read that spec sheet. Check the product page before you order because pricing can shift. But the construction argument does not change regardless of what the number says. The second brand made a decision that almost no other American apparel brand at this price has made in a very long time. That brand is Buck Mason, founded in 2013 in Venice, California. Buck Mason is reported to have acquired a century-old American knitting mill in Monton, Pennsylvania that was on the verge of permanent closure. They took it on, kept the craftsmen working, and preserved a piece of American textile manufacturing that the rest of the industry had spent decades walking away from. That mill produces the brand's core knitwear line, something the buyer needs to know up front. The Polo line is not made in America. It uses imported manufacturing, and Buck Mason is transparent about that on the product page. The Polo earns its place on this list purely on what the construction delivers at the price. 310 grams per square meter of yarn-dyed cotton at $98 is a value. Position the data supports regardless of where the cutting and sewing happened. The Polo lineup has 2 distinct tiers. The suede cotton polo at $58 runs at 145 grams per square meter of cotton jersey, suited for softness, with a 2-button mitered placket. This is your summer polo, lighter weight, softer feel, built for warm weather. The field spec rugby polo at $98 is a completely different conversation. 310 grams per square meter of yarn-dyed cotton jersey. That is the top of the heavyweight tier. That is vintage rugby cloth weight. You feel the difference the moment you pick it up. Most modern polos feel like a light knit. The field spec feels like a garment. Dense, structured, with the kind of weight that tells you this thing was built to last. Yarn dyed means the thread is dyed before it is knitted into fabric rather than after. That matters because the color goes all the way through the fiber rather than sitting on the surface. Better saturation, better retention through washing, and that subtle color variation across the surface that gives heritage polos their character. 3-button placket, genuine shell buttons, ribbed cuffs, side vents. 310 grams at $98. British heritage rugby brands charge $150 to $200 for the same construction weight. That gap is the entire argument for this polo. Go and grab any polo from your closet right now. Look at the label. If it does not tell you the fabric weight, think about what that means. The brand knows what is in the fabric. They made a choice not to share it with you. Keep that in mind as we go into the next 3 because every one of them made the opposite choice. The third brand built its whole identity around one product and one construction detail inside that product. That brand is Wang. Most polo brands treat the collar as an afterthought. It is knitted separately, sewn on, and left to do whatever it does over time. What it does over time is curl. Within 20 washes, most polo collars start rolling at the edges. Within 2 seasons, they stay rolled. The collar is the first thing people see when they look at a man wearing a polo, and a rolled collar makes even a well-fitted shirt look sloppy. Wang decided the collar was the whole problem and built their polo around fixing it. Instead of a single knitted rib collar, they built the collar like a dress shirt. 2 layers of the same cotton peak as the polo body with a collar band stitched between them. architectural construction rather than knitted construction. The collar does not curl. It sits the same way after 200 washes as it did the first time you wore it. That one decision defines the entire brand. One thing worth knowing before you buy. Wang does not publish the fabric weight on the product page. For a brand that builds its reputation on construction transparency, that is an inconsistency worth noting. Before you order, contact the brand directly and ask for the GSM specification. Any brand confident in its construction should be able to answer that question directly. For the buyer who prioritizes GSM disclosure above collar construction, that gap matters. For the buyer who prioritizes collar construction above all other specifications, Wang remains the clearest answer on this list. Mother of pearl buttons across the board. 3-button placket. Slim fit with slim tall and American fit options available. 10 colorways: navy, white, gray, black, light blue, dark green, maroon, brown, pink, ivory. The long-sleeve rugby version at $95 carries the exact same double-layer collar construction as the short sleeve. The collar specification does not change between seasonal versions. Both seasons covered for under $170 total. That is less than the price of one designer polo with a logo on the chest. $75 across all colorways for the short sleeve. One polo, one construction standard, one price. The man who knows the collar test pays $75 and gets construction that designer brands charge $200 for. The man who does not know the collar test keeps replacing his polos every 2 seasons, wondering why they always start looking cheap after a few months. If this is changing how you think about what is hanging in your wardrobe right now, and it should be, hit the like button and subscribe to Brand Verdict World. Every week we follow the construction data so you never have to pay for marketing again. 2 brands left, and the last one is going to change how you think about British heritage knitwear permanently. The 4th brand runs on a model the fashion industry is fundamentally built to prevent. That brand is ASKET. Swedish brand, founded in 2015. No seasonal collections, no sales, no promotional cycles. One permanent collection of garments built to be replaced only when they wear out, not when the calendar turns and the marketing team decides this season needs a new direction. In an industry designed around planned obsolescence, ASKET runs in the opposite direction entirely. That operating model matters because it is what funds the supply chain disclosure that makes this brand genuinely different. Most apparel brands tell you one thing: the country where the garment was finally cut and sewn. ASKET tells you significantly more than that. The cotton origin, the knitting and finishing mill in Portugal, the button manufacturing in Italy. The brand reports that over 90% of the supply chain is traced to origin and disclosed publicly on the product page. You can follow the chain yourself. That is not marketing language. That is a verifiable claim, and it is rare enough in apparel at any price point that it represents something genuinely worth paying for. The Peak Polo runs 210 grams per square meter of organic cotton. Classic Peak knit, French placket construction, tonal buttons. Same GSM as Spier and Mackay at $55. 3 length options per size, short, regular, and long, which is something almost no other brand offers and which makes a significant difference if your proportions do not fit neatly into standard sizing. $120 on the United States site. At $65 more than Spier and Mackay, $120 versus $55. That premium buys full supply chain disclosure and the 3-length sizing system that funds it. The fabric weight is identical. The construction is comparable. If fabric weight and construction are all you care about, buy Spier and Mackay. If supply chain transparency and a sizing system that actually fits your body matter to you, ASKET earns every dollar of that premium. Neither choice is wrong. The difference is what you value, not what the quality is. The 5th and final brand on this list has been making shirts in Britain for nearly 40 years and built a polo line around a fiber treatment that Italian heritage brands charge $300 to put on your back. That brand is Charles Tyrwhitt, founded in 1986 in Cambridge, England by Nick Wheeler. Family-owned operation, nearly 4 decades of British menswear built on volume and direct-to-consumer sales rather than boutique retail margins. The Polo line runs 2 tiers, both clearly documented on the product page. The Peak Polo is $59 to $69. Midweight cotton peak with an anti-pilling finish, meaning the fabric is treated during production to resist the small fiber balls that form on standard cotton after 15 to 20 washes. 30 colors, 7 sizes, from extra small to triple extra large. The size range alone is broader than most polo brands at this price. The Smart Jersey Polo is $79 to $89, and this is where it gets interesting. It is built in mercerized cotton. Mercerization is a process that transforms how cotton behaves at the fiber level. The fibers swell, become rounder, and develop a smooth surface that reflects light uniformly. The result is a fabric that carries a subtle sheen you immediately associate with expensive Italian and English knitwear. That sheen is not a coating that washes off. It is in the fiber itself. The treated cotton is also around 15 to 20% stronger and holds color significantly better through repeated washing. Manufacturing happens in Vietnam, which is where the price becomes possible. The mercerization process and the fiber specification are British heritage standards. The production cost is not. Italian heritage brands apply the same mercerization process at Italian production costs and charge $300. English heritage brands charge $400. Charles Tyrwhitt applies the same process at Vietnamese production cost and charges $89. The chemistry is identical. The fabric behavior is identical. The country of production and the name on the label are the variables. Charles Tyrwhitt charges what the construction actually costs to produce. $89 for mercerized cotton construction that appears in $300 Italian heritage polos. That is the whole argument, and it does not need anything added to it. 5 brands. Every one of them publishes the GSM weight, the cotton fiber grade, and the collar construction on the product page. That sounds like a basic expectation. It is not. Most brands at any price point make a deliberate choice not to tell you what is in the fabric you are buying. Next time you are looking at any polo anywhere, open the product page and look for 3 things. The fabric weight in grams per square meter, the cotton grade, the collar construction. If those 3 things are not on the page, the brand already told you everything you need to know. Drop the brand you think we missed in the comments. Share this with someone who is still handing over $135 for a curling collar and a plastic button. Subscribe to Brand Verdict World, because the man who reads the specification sheet never pays for the logo again.